Stand up and have a bit of a stretch. Okay, cool. So we're going to finish off with drawing on that innate wisdom that we all have. It can't be emphasised enough that we're all amazing. Farmers in particular, I think Joel touched on it before.
Robert, didn't you want to have like on the other side of the blackboard?
What's that?
Oh,
she was not growing it off, yeah, no, we'll leave that there. Farmers in particular are probably one of the most skillful people on the planet. We have to deal with, you all know this, but it's worth repeating. We have to deal with what nature throws at us. We have to deal with what the market throws at us. We have to be a mechanic. We have to be a soil engineer. We have to be an animal husbandry expert. An accountant. Name them. What skill? A star. Staff. Yeah. HR expertise. Yep. Systems thinker.
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, yeah. Technician. Labourer.
Social media guru.
Social media guru. What's that one? Marketing. Sales. Event organiser.
An agronomist.
All the sciences.
Chemistry, biology, geology.
An agronomist.
An agronomist.
Digital theatre, fabricator.
That's right. So where's Laura gone? A certified, a business runner of business. Come on, keep going. I want to build you up. Owner operator.
Bloody good cook.
Writer. Where's Phil? Writer.
Yeah.
Negotiator. Yeah. Entertainer. So there's all these things that we have to, and we actually, most of the time, we should really, really enjoy and flourishing, but the world has sort of put us on a bit of a it has sort of dumbed down the art of farming to the point where it is taken for granted. Whereas what we know innately is that we're actually pretty powerful individuals. We actually do a lot with our minds, we do a lot with our hands, and we have this incredible gift to marry our heart with our head, with our hands. And that's a pretty amazing thing that we all need to just really let that soak in, that we're actually, the reason why farmers stay on the land is because they love the land. They have this love of the land. And that can never be overstated or understated. This love of the land, despite the prices you're getting, despite the regulatory, despite the bloody consumers not eating what they should be eating, despite all of that, you still stay on the land. That's an incredible love. And then you do all this deep thinking that is basically transforming that love to what do I actually need to do with my hands to actually stay on this land. So it's an incredible, that's why I say coming here off that is an incredible gift that you're giving yourself. So let's move into a solution space. What are we going to do? We've seen the world out there. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of awareness. There's technology. We're seeing politics becoming irrelevant. We've got those barriers that we put on the other side of this. And we're seeing some key themes in the world around systems thinking, holistic thinking, regenerative agriculture, cross-silo thinking. We're seeing all those things happening. So what are some of the solutions that popped up? What insights you might have had a couple while you were silent there for 2 minutes, or even during the sessions you come up with an insight. I want to hear real insights. I don't want to hear...
I think people have a lack of trust from authority things that people are tending to go back to their gut feeling.
So we want to put this in a really positive... We don't want to talk about it in a negative sense?
Or
We're not
listening to their own gut.
Okay, so there's a real trust. Trust. So there's trust as a part of the solution. Did someone put their hand up? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it set out to produce on the farm enough to feed ourselves, and whoever works on the farm.
Yep.
And then from there, take it into the market.
Right. So this is it's a permaculture principle, yield.
I come from a background of feeding the world, and I couldn't feed myself.
Yes. Okay. So there's this inversion. Feed yourself first. Feed yourself.
Learn to cook.
And then your local community. Is that what you're talking? So it's sort of like instead of the world and then coming back to you get nothing, there's you and then working on an outward spiral. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a great concept. Yourself and then your community. And then maybe trade. Outside, okay, cool. Yes.
Work within your sphere of influence.
Aha. Yeah.
We can't do anything about the political situation at a state or even local level, local, federal or international level. Where can you be influential?
Yeah, and you drew this in your, when you were talking about your farm. You drew this this great. In my mind, it looked like there was a farm, you know, and you had these corridors, you know, and maybe even some wedges coming into the farm that made the farm sort of productive, or someone's got a creek. And when I visualised when you said that, there's this sort of idea that our sphere of influence. You know, if you look at Laura here, she's involved internationally with organic movements across the world. There's myself with the peasant farmer movement globally. So it's not just about a localised sphere of influence. It's actually, we have influences right across the globe if we tap into those networks. Yeah, cool. Is that what you were trying to say?
Yeah, don't take on battles you can't win.
Yes.
Work with the ones you can.
Use your energy wisely.
Energy, as in your personal energy. Are you talking about personally, or are you talking about all energies? Who said that? Who said the energy?
I just said use it wisely.
Yeah. Yep. Anyone else got any key sort of solutions? Yes, Joel.
That's the idea of a renewal of community and I guess the culture in agriculture. Communities now doesn't have to be fixed to a place. There's a virtual community that we exist within as well.
Yep. So putting the culture back into agriculture. Cool.
I think many of us are a bit sceptical about social media and about particularly some of the newer forms of social media, and I think we need not to be, and we need to embrace a bit more. I don't know, I would like to hear just you talk about, as I was hearing you last night, talking about your use of Twitter and blogs, and it's a world where we just think, oh, hell, we haven't got time to be doing that, but then have we got time where we can't afford not to do it?
Yeah,
because
true.
It does connect.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there it is. I use Twitter as my own personal soul filler. And at night I spend probably half an hour and I go through all my Twitter feeds and it's very, very uplifting, you know, to see what's going on in the world. It's sort of like it's where I speak to my tribe globally and where they speak to me. It's really, whereas Facebook is this external facing world where you communicate your market, you know, to your market, whereas Twitter for me is where I talk to my tribe, and I find that incredibly empowering for me because you can get a bit sort of lost in the news, which you need to be aware of. I mean, a lot of people do have no TVs and don't even turn on the radio anymore, but I think it's really important to have some something, you know, some listening in that sphere, but obviously you don't know what to trust in that sphere. Yeah, thanks, Julie. Any other sort of...
Same with that kind of sphere of influence concept. I think we kind of need figureheads or influential people who really are people for localisation of food and supporting farmers. Kind of like your Joel Salatin, but he is also to the point of extreme, maybe. You know, that there needs to be more sort of people within Australia who that we can look to are, you know, banging the drum.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so you're sort of saying we've come from the world of the hero leader.
Well, they're the people who can kind of be the lobbyists, I guess, as well.
Yeah. And then you've got the world we want to have, which is a round circle, which is where there is no need for leadership. You've just got community and we're all as one. So you've got this connected community. So no heroes.
Also, was really good because it broke so many barriers that were accepted regulation, and he went, no, not happening, and took the time to fight it. And I think that's why he's got such impact.
Yes.
Whereas we have very few people here that are prepared to take people on and go, no, that's not happening.
Okay, cool. I get where you're coming from. That's great. So this sort of like we need these.
Regulation breakers.
Okay. Some
or challenges.
Some sort of egoless heroes. Egoless heroes.
Challenge the status quo.
Who don't sell out. Yeah, egoless. Heroines. Heroines? No one's.
I kind of see the relationship with food similar to the climate change story. So you have Suzuki and there's different people who kind of talk about renewable energy all the time, and so now that's acceptable, a lot more acceptable, and countries are, you know, basing energy on renewables, and food is kind of taking that step as well. It just needs people to take leadership of it.
Yep. So I get, one of the things that I'm seeing as a really key theme is that energy was targeted particularly by the bigger environmental organisations because it was an easy target to take on. And solar was a bit expensive, but now energy is completely decoupled from fossil fuels. It's become mainstream, and it's basically a lay down misère.
Yeah.
Nothing, you know, like whereas 10, 15 years ago it was a real battle. Transport, the same sort of thing. No one was really wanting to put any money into public transport. Electric cars weren't even seen. Now we can see, you know, the efficient engines, the electric cars, public transport they're now seeing as that's critical for a world that's decoupled from fossil fuels. Even the built environment, residential housing, big office blocks, they're all starting to decouple. They've got their own energy. They're green. They're great places to be. They're beautiful buildings. They're no longer these big energy sources. The food and agriculture is still tied to fossil fuels, like it never wants to leave the whole fossil fuel industry. But it is being seen in the political world, or in the policy world, as the final bag in their eyes. It's going to be contributing 70% of greenhouse emissions in the next 10 years because all the other ones are decoupling. So it is now, food and agriculture is starting to be seen as, my God, it's a massive solution. But how do we actually, you know, because they're not going to attack farmers. You know, a big green organisation, they hated you years ago. 10 years ago, the Greens didn't really have much time until what's her name come on the scene in Tasmania, the dairy farmer. And then we started to see that conversion. ACF, World Wildlife Fund, all those sort of things, for the last 5 years, they've actually started to take on board farmers as a pretty critical part of the infrastructure in separating and decoupling us from fossil fuels. So it's actually a large, so we're now being started to be seen as a large part of the solution. And you guys are right in the middle of that, thinking organically, thinking regeneratively, biodynamically, whatever it is, you know, thinking in the ways that I heard you describe before.
Last year, I think the United Nations made a very good publication, and also the AU, the same, says that a small scale of production is a solution for the climate change.
That's right, yes, that's right.
And this is a help and a lot of opportunities for us. treatment.
That's right. So is everyone aware of this? And it was 10 years ago, I think the IASDD report basically said that small farmers will, and this was a global report that said the same sort of thing, yes, but there is a growing awareness that small-scale agriculture actually is more productive, it's less intensive, uses less resources, and indeed sequesters a lot of carbon into the soil. So it's starting to be seen as that.
And reverse all these horrible things that happen, no? Like tsunamis or cyclones or whatever. It's
That's right.
The small scale
Yes.
is what we can
It's resilient.
receive.
Social, has social benefits.
It has social benefits.
Much better for local economies.
Okay. So, Joel, you might need to explain that one. Does everyone understand what Joel said, or do you need an explanation from Joel?
Maybe if you can unpack it.
Well, I guess the classic example is your supermarkets, and you spend $1 there, and none of that dollar stays in your local community. But if you spend $1 at your farmers markets, and then that farmer goes and gets his hair cut, and then the hairdresser goes and buys their bread and baker, and it just stays going round and round and round.
Except that the people that work in the local supermarket will go to the baker and get a haircut, so things are often not black and white.
No, but he is right though. There's the current science for a local economy, so supplies locally, sells locally, employs locally, is owned locally, all that sort of thing. There's a 10 times difference, so 10 times more money is in that community as through a supermarket, because a local is more employment than what the supermarket offers. The ownership is local. The money actually stays in the town, so it actually gets recycled. Geelong just did a study. Geelong just did a 9%. They've done. They had a big push. Geelong City Council, big push. It's not just food. It's all sorts of industries. They had a 9% increase in local procurement, local supply, mainly through the Geelong City Council, and they saw a $24 million increase in money that actually that was generated through the economy. Yes.
Robert, to build on that sphere of influence thing,
Yep.
I'm naive enough to hope that one day bureaucracy and all three levels of government may come and give me a hand. But until that occurs, I'm going to be old-fashioned and think, well, I'll do what I can where I am with what I have.
Yeah. Okay. So this
And
is
I've articulated a personal vision for what I want my life and my community to be, and wherever possible, I support that.
Yeah. So you want to talk more, because I'm a classic example of choosing the path of most resistance rather than choosing a path of least resistance. And that's what you're advocating for? Is
Well,
a path
I'm just
of...
saying that I could spend the next 4 or 5 lifetimes fighting bureaucracy and government. Unfortunately, my skull is not that thick, nor my patience that long. But I can choose to buy food off of my friends and neighbours that are food producers. I can choose to shop locally. I can choose to purchase products made in Australia by Australian people if I can. And where I can't, I'm going to make the best of what I've got.
Yes, very good.
I'd really like to think that people in George Street, in Mary Street, and in the Parliament Circle may one day come and help me and help you do things better.
Yeah.
I can't hold my breath that long,
No.
so I'm going to do what I can right now.
Cool. Right. Yes, mate.
Community projects in line with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Actually get some projects off the ground, like maybe visits, site visits to people's market gardens. Maybe
visits to market
a couple hours a week
gardens.
here and there of your time to help.
And let's celebrate local.
In pulling people from the community and the town who might not be into it, but if you introduce them to that and say, look, here's this free visit of this little farmlet around this area, come and have a look.
Yeah.
If you know someone, if you socialise with them and get to know them personally, you're gonna buy their produce. If you don't know them, like how many of us know each other? You know, there might be little pockets of social activity amongst us, but if we can do what we're doing here, pull people together and say, right, let's do a project. The talk's good, it's needed, but now let's move it on to the next phase of actually doing and acting like community members used to act before all the community halls used to shut down. Remember all the community halls?
All the cooperatives.
People come, they're all gone, aren't they? Just about.
Cool. That's a great segue for me, because I've only got a couple of minutes left, is to, and we've heard a couple of people saying this is my solution. So, so what I'm asking is anyone else want to stand up and say this is what I'm going to do. Not what you're already doing, because you're already doing that, but what, as an insight you've had through this process, or through this here, that you've gone, I need to actually, I'm going to, and name it, say this is what I did think before, and this is now what I'm going to do, because I could see that that was actually either a mental block on my own behalf, or it was stopping me from working with someone else who I know I should be working with. So, being a bit courageous in this next couple of minutes, and it's totally voluntary. I don't really want you to do it. I'd love to go around and actually eyeball everyone and say, right, what are you going to do? But you've got another day and a half to have those conversations and sit with some of those thoughts. But is anyone up for standing up now and saying this is what I'm prepared to sort of take on and this is why?
I actually know something that I'm going to do, kind of as part of work as well, but that is to go into local cafes and restaurants and get them to engage with local food directly, because there is a concept that because I buy locally, I'm buying at my local produce shop or I'm buying from my local butcher, that it is actually local, and it's not. So for them to trace that back a little bit further, and the people who do the distribution, the fruit and veggie shops in town, for them to actually label and step up and say, this is a local product, and so when you order it, you can say that it's a local product. It hasn't gone through Brisbane markets and back up here to us.
Yeah, cool.
So just following the chain.
Yeah, I wish I was here a bit longer. I could talk about the whole the food hub sort of network system that a few of us are thinking about as a strategy to decentralise the power of the supermarkets and bring that in a larger scale to areas. That's great. Anyone else want to stand up? Yes.
Yeah. Robert, I can see myself going back to my community. We have a community garden, which is really struggling because it's a rural town and everybody has their own garden. Yep. So they're not kind of brick and mortared out, so they've got no need for a community garden. Yes. But getting into the community garden and go to the local outlets that sell food and fruit and veg and ask them what we can grow for them that they can put through their shop or through their dinner plates.
And we haven't even spoken about your point about food. We did Food Connect did a 10-year strategic planning session 2 years ago, and it took us a whole year, and we ended up getting UQ involved. But we basically wanted to map where Brisbane should get its food from in the future in an ideal world. And we looked at 4 areas: social justice, ecological justice, economics and human health. And looked at 13 food groups, so everything from leafy greens right through to your coffee grounds, or coffee beans, tea and spices and things like that. And looked at the whole globe, six zones, and divided the world into 6 zones. Zone 0 being your own local community. And we come up with 5 key themes, and one of the themes is this one on perennial foods, is actually embracing a perennial agriculture rather than this annual Western Anglo-Saxon sort of agriculture we've brought over where we're ploughing the land up a lot. We haven't really talked about that as being a really great story to bring people into a journey about what's really good for them and transforming their thinking around not only what are we going to grow, because it's very resource dependent to grow a broccoli as opposed to growing a yam or something like that. We haven't got into that side of things, but I think you've got the idea, and I hope you've got something that you can sort of continue on in your thinking, because this is a pretty big subject. But importantly, we are now being seen in a small way as a part of the really big solution that hasn't been tapped into yet. So I hope you can sort of take that on board. It's not an easy challenge, and as I said before, I've chosen a path of the most resistance, and it's really created a lot of dramas for us at Food Connect. but now I'm sort of starting to work towards the path of least resistance. We were in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, talking with impact investors and other people around the business model, focusing on never lose sight of your dream and your goal, but don't expect it all to come now, and have a pathway. Actually chart out a pathway. So I suppose drop the idealism behind what I want to do and everything that I want to do, Food Connect, and actually chart a pathway. And I hope you can all take something out of today's session. Thanks so much for inviting me along, and I'm going to be here for the next 2 days up until I catch the train back tomorrow. So,
Just get you to flick back to the
barriers.
One, no, the other side.
Oh, the solutions.
Please.
Sure.
We were note taking and you were quick.
Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry.
I really like what you said about taking the time away from your farm and doing things like this. And I think, the more you can find out that there's more opportunities to learn and education, because otherwise you can sit there very insulated on your farm and not be aware.
Taking time out. We spend a lot of time with Joel Sullivan. Taking Joel out.
Yeah.
Which is what we did. Taking time out. Joel sits down with us and he says, "What are you doing?" Because you're in this season where everything's growing all the time, whereas in his part of the world he has snow for 2 or 3 months, and not only from a family point of view but from a thinking point of view, all those other things. That's where he goes in, and I think we've got to come up with some sort of system or some sort of rhythm in our lives as a community to actually, this is one of them, but we need to probably take on board more time to actually sit with each other and unpack stuff and fall in love with ourselves as community, like we do when a bushfire comes or when a flood comes or whenever else. We have to actually embrace that real inner wisdom and take on board some of these challenges with community.
That's the word that keeps coming back in my head, is necessity. We're reluctant to change because it's not necessary. We are so affluent, we have so much choice. Whereas if we were put under a certain circumstance, like a tsunami, like some sort of, necessity to change, to become more efficient in the years that we were, many, many years ago, we were, a lot more efficient.
Yep, that's
You might have to leave it. I don't want to cut you off, Robert.
Sorry,
I'd like everyone just to put their hands together.